That's what happens when you push that button. Eventually, it takes a few seconds.
Well, sometimes it doesn't.
Don't forget the muting of the
muting thing
of the feed when that begins after its delay going to the interwebs and back again. Welcome.
Yes.
Welcome one and all staff to the show. Those of you that saw my Instagram post a few minutes ago, I can reliably inform you that Ted has still not tidied up my desk. Incredible. Look at the state of this desk.
So...
Not the one you guys can see, the actual one.
Why isn't he fired?
Fired! I can't fire Ted. He's been with me 52 years, nearly. You know.
So what? If he's just going to be slacking around and being fucking rude.
Well, he does twiddle the knobs.
To whose benefit?
Well, to those that like their knobs twiddled. Somebody around here has to do the knob twiddling.
And apparently, we only have one taker.
Sad but true. That's a song. I'm going to do everything in songs today. No singing.
Well, do it properly then.
Right.
Right.
Oh, do they need instructing? Okay, here's what you do. When you want your questions answered, you put a big capital Q, a colon, you write your question out, and then you suffix it with a question mark. That means Ted can find it because he's a bit hard of reading, to be fair.
Nothing else you want to share before we start with the questions?
Go and buy Cerule from Pim's Cerule account as a retail customer. Do that immediately. If you're already my customer or somebody else's customer, sign your fucking dog up. Have your dog buy something from Cerule, from Pim's account as a new retail customer. Do that today, please. Thirdly, did you know your body renews and repairs itself using a system of adult stem cells, which unfortunately, as we age, winds down? Isn't that terrible? Luckily, here is a product called Stem Enhance Ultra from the fine folks at Cerule, which reverses that trend. Isn't that fantastic? The place you get it from is the place I just told you to get it from. Pim's account, which you will find in the show notes underneath this video in the top line. Okay, promotion's done. Awesome.
You sound very convincing. I'm an infomercial.
I am not going through the motions whatsoever. I am fully on board emotionally today. I am here to do my best for you all.
And Dr. Abs has super chatted already. So
good to see you, Abs.
With that.
Good man. Good to see you.
Thank you, Dr. Abs.
There's a story behind that, Abs.
We're trying to...
Yeah, okay, it'll come up. There it is.
Finally.
There it is. Any plans to visit the UK in the future, guys? Not for me. Not so much. His Majesty's Constabulary might want to have a word with me.
I don't even get to read anymore.
Anyway, they might want to talk to me when I get there.
Also, why are we so big on the screen?
Because we're sitting up close to the camera, which is not far away, and it's an error introduced by such cameras.
Well,
we could sit further back from the desk.
That text is a lot smaller today than it usually is what I'm saying.
I may have changed the on-screen resolution for the middle monitor. So now I have to read
on this screen?
You can if you like.
Yeah, but I prefer to read on that one.
Yeah. Anyone that wants to help me on the show going forward, there's a job going.
Yes.
She doesn't really like doing it, to be fair. Somebody needs to do it, though. Ted's about as useful as a chocolate teapot.
Useless, I mean.
All right.
Yeah.
Good.
And the chat has got stuck already.
Oh, that's good. So, we won't be in the UK anytime soon, Abs, but Abs will be on this fine channel soon.
Will you ever be in the UK again?
No, I don't think so.
You have to move your studio here.
Sorry, Abs.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Maybe you can set up an Abs studio so he can film in his studio at your place. No?
Yeah. Anyway, in the meantime, Abs will be on this channel soon because we're doing a collaborative thing soon, I believe.
Sweet.
That'll be awesome.
And in the meantime, we have questions.
Good. Let's have some questions then. How long did it take today? 4 minutes to get to the first question. Pretty good.
We already did the first one.
Oh, I suppose, are you coming to the UK is a question, strictly speaking. Yes. Okay, good.
Have you seen people heal on a lion diet and then be able to add back in dairy eggs without any problem?
I've heard of it. Have you heard of it?
I mean, yes. Strict lion, I'm thinking like... Yeah.
Yep.
A few, but I've also heard about several people just doing carnivore that have been able to add in other foods, such as eggs, for example. They have been sensitive to eggs for a while, and they had to cut them out for a year or two, and then they're actually fine. So anything can happen. Okay. I think I saw another question somewhere, but since I had to fuck around, there you go.
You always fuck around. You fuck around too much.
Stupid chat. Okay, question. White blood cells going very low. Carnivore for almost a year. They started to decline before, and taking multivitamins help raise them to the lower normal level. What can be the cause? Thanks.
Ooh, there are many things that can cause your white count to be below par or average or so-called expected range. That really sounds like something you probably need to consult with somebody that knows what they're on about in terms of those kind of things. I would also suggest that the Stem Enhance Ultra from Cerule is a good way to support your body in producing white cells if it needs to, because the usual fate for adult stem cells, if they're not needed to do other things around your body, is they'll turn into red cells, white cells, platelets, immune cells as a kind of default end. So if your body needs to produce white cells and is struggling to do so, having more adult stem cells on hand is handy. Handy. Useful.
Yeah. I mean, do you have any problems from knowing that, or from having a lower amount of white cells?
Yes. What's your symptomology?
Or were you just curious about what the cause could be?
That. Don't necessarily answer that question publicly in text on here. You can contact.
Oh, next one says, didn't get sick at all while having very low white blood cell count. Okay.
Well, there you go. So very low is comparative to an expected or normative value. It's not actually based necessarily on one's clinical prognosis in any way.
No, I would be curious to know what normal would be like if we didn't have all the problems that we have metabolically and otherwise.
Exactly.
You know, being in environments that are very toxic and whatever.
Yeah, if I had a bunch of bloods done for some reason, which I would only do if I was suspecting something and wanted to prove or disprove it, and somebody told me that my numbers were all perfectly within normal range, that would be concerning to me, because the last thing I want to be is in the normal range. Goodness, no.
You don't want to be normal?
No.
Nope.
I wish that I was normal, just the same as you. Should I dress myself up formal, just like Ted is? Or he was, anyway. Where's he gone? He's getting good, isn't he, is Ted?
No, he's not.
I tried, Ted. I really tried. She won't have it. Will you? Right, no singing. What's next?
Carnivore Club has been a member for 2 months.
Goodness me, it seems like longer.
Make sure to subscribe to Bart or Ted will steal your steaks.
He'll do worse than that, I can tell you. In fact, as we speak, he is stirring up this week's bucket of hot soapy frogs, and he has made sure that the bottom is well and truly cut out of the wetsuit. Also, he's oiling the rampant wildebeest.
Right, so we have 2 super chats.
Excellent, let's have those.
Yes. Can I put Cerule in a blunt and smoke it? Joke.
If you want to. Will it be useful to you in so doing? No, I wouldn't do that.
Probably not.
Good, thank you for the 2 somethings. Dollars US, good, we like those.
Feral Grandma says, just sending love.
Thank you, Feral Grandma, we'll accept that. Lovely. It's just like opening a card from Grandma and there's a £5 note in there or something. Lovely.
Minus YouTube tax.
I don't have any grandmas anymore.
Okay, next question. Yep. I want to read and learn all about fat, adipose tissue, how the body uses it, and so on. What scientific article, research paper, or any kind of literature would you recommend? Mainly around fat loss. Around fat loss?
That last qualification makes it very difficult for me to recommend pretty much anything in the written press at all, be that textbook-wise or indeed much of the research either, actually. All I can do is give you my educated opinion on who the good commentators are that you should probably gravitate to firstly. And if you want to branch out from there, so be it. But from there, I'm not guaranteeing the quality. I'm also not saying that somebody outside my top 2 or 3 is not quality. They might be. I'm just saying I'm only going to give a recommendation for those I know well and have explicit absolute trust for, or nearly. And of course those people would be my own good self, this one beside me,
Well, thanks.
Of
Even though
course.
we don't always agree.
Well, this is what I'm saying, mostly. Sean Baker, same argument applies. He and I don't necessarily agree on everything either, right? But he's a pretty good source of information, irrespective of what qualifications he's got or doesn't have, all right? Dr. Chafee, pretty well spot on everything he's got to say. Again, not somebody I've agreed with on every point, but pretty much. Edward Goicke, or Goic, however he pronounces it. He keeps telling me, I keep forgetting.
What
He's
about
good.
people like Jason Fung, for example? That do a lot of fasting and...
Yeah, okay, he's further outside my ring of real intimate knowledge of what they say, how they say it, and all the absolute intricacies of it. But I wouldn't necessarily count him out as a good source of information. Sarah Pugh, I would trust explicitly.
Pew pew.
Pew pew. And there's a bunch of other people that we always forget and never make it to that list as well, of people that you should listen to. And there's a list of people you should not listen to. For that, just binge watch my channel, and I have a series of videos. It's actually the most of my videos, called Who's Wrong on the Interwebs, because it's almost everybody.
So what I've learned more and more is that even though the science says one thing, that does not work for everyone, because everyone is in a different soup of circumstances, as in you have different hormones, you have different fucking toxins, you have different DNA, you have different everything. So something that in theory should be working isn't necessarily working.
Goodness me, she's questioning the science.
Yes.
Don't question the science. I'm the science. Don't question the science.
Yeah, so I say that you can learn everything you can learn about it, but it doesn't mean that it's going to necessarily work for you, because it's impossible, I think, to get the whole picture of everything that's going on without trying a lot of things if you're going to apply this to yourself or someone else.
That sounds a lot like fuck around and find out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right.
I mean, there's some things that work for most people, but maybe not all the way or whatever.
Like it. That's why I have you here.
Is it?
That and to read the questions when
I thought it was that.
Don't forget to let you read the questions.
Yes. So, Super Chat. Hi, love listening to both of you. I've been doing a lot of research into urine therapy. I respect your knowledge and would like to know if you have any thoughts on it.
Don't do that. Urine and therapy are not two words that should be put together in the same sentence if the intent is to consume the urine. Don't do that. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. All you do is just drink your piss. That's all you do. You drink sugar, you drink your piss, you lose weight like a motherfucker. Energy out your asshole. It's fantastic.
Ow. Not good.
You know what else is great? Hardcore drugs. They're awesome. What do you think about urine therapy?
I think that if we were meant to drink urine, we would be doing that regularly, everyone. It doesn't make any sense. It's a way to get rid of shit.
Urine.
But, waste products.
But, of course, the other side of that argument is that everything you see on the interwebs is true. Absolutely. And my N=1 of my viewing of the interwebs would suggest to me that there is a great number of people who are involved in drinking urine and stuff.
Yeah, you will probably get as much out of visualizing yourself drinking urine as you will get out of drinking it.
None of them were doing it for therapeutic purposes in my in my internet searches of such things.
Yes. All right. Dr. Abs is back. Which textbooks do you recommend, if any, for human metabolism biochemistry? Bloody chat. I'm
not really a fan of textbooks, Abs. I don't generally, like when I used to teach, the students were always, okay, so what's the text for this course? And I always said there isn't one, which they all appreciated because, textbooks aren't cheap. And most textbooks are just the opinion of the authors of the textbook, couched in such a way as they want to. Textbooks are generally, even the ones that say we're peer-reviewed, really aren't. Not that anything is peer-reviewed genuinely, really. I always was of a mind to teach students how to think for themselves and how to research for themselves, how to question everything, except me, because I'm the science and you don't question the science. I'm safe and effective. Effective and safe I am. Yeah, so none, really. I mean, a lot of textbooks you can get accurate information on bits of bobs and things from. Yes?
I mean, if you need to learn processes, biochemical processes, you could probably pick almost anyone, I guess.
And if you want to know about biochemistry specifically in terms of the metabolic pathways and things, go to the KEGG profile. I think that's fantastic. KEGG pathway is your search term if you don't know what that is. It is an incredible online resource.
I don't even know what it is.
There you go. KEGG pathway. The KEGG.
Now I'm curious.
The KEGG pathway. It basically maps out all the biochemical reactions occurring.
Oh no, now I have to go and be a nerd.
In living organisms, and it even splits out by species. And you can say, I want this qualified for Homo sapiens sapiens, and then it takes out everything that we don't have. Or you say, I want reference, which is all the pathways, including fungus and whatever else. It's cool. It's awesome. It's neat. I like it a lot. I've learned a lot from it over the years.
Nice.
What's next?
There are more super chats somewhere. Where was the last one? So that was that. Here we go.
Lovely.
Laura. 70-year-old female, 5'6", 122 pounds, carnivore 3 years, A1C gone up to 6.1, HDL 95, LDL 200, triglycerides 39. Why high A1C?
Reason number one, it seems like human red blood cells live a longer life on a carnivore diet than they would on a standard diet. Ergo, they are exposed to those glycating influences, all other variables held constant for a longer period of time, and thus falsely read higher than what is actually clinically going on. Because the assumption of the A1C test is a lifespan of the red blood cells of X number of days, and if a carnivore's red cells are living half as long again, for example, then that basically undermines that assumption of the test. Secondly, there's no evidence whatsoever that an A1C of even 6.1, 6.2 is problematic clinically for an individual who has a blood sugar level genuinely at that level, and that blood glucose level is stable. It doesn't do that, it just does that a little bit. The reason that we say 6 point whatever, depending what country you're in, is diabetes, is because it assumes that that person has a blood glucose level that's vastly fluctuating. It is. It's
fluctuating.
It's fluctuating. And as such, you are assumed to have experienced a number of peaks much higher than that 6 point something, and a number of troughs much, much lower than that as well, giving you that average number. But it's not that actual number that's the damaging thing, it's the peaks, which you are imagined to have had, which on a carnivore diet you have in fact not had. So I hope that makes sense. I wouldn't worry about it. If it gets up above 6.5, get back to me. There's one or two things we'll do to help you get it back down again.
Next super chat.
Yeah.
I have been carnivore since January, BBB and E, water only. I suffer constant ankle and foot pain and swelling. I used to suffer from gout. This doesn't feel like gout. What can I do?
That could be all sorts of things that could be going on there. I'm assuming that you decided to hammer over and go carnivore overnight like most people do, in which case it could be an inflammatory response underpinned by a problem in your microbiome, which for some reason is being expressed in a certain zone of your body. It could be that there's injuries that have occurred in that ankle that you may or may not know about. I myself had a very, very painful ankle 2 days ago, spontaneously, to the point where I could hardly walk, which has self-resolved. And funnily enough, it was coincident with a period of 48 hours preceding that of me being off-piste nutritionally. So off-piste. So again, that can happen. In your case, you're saying you've been strict, and we have to take your word for that. Who knows? You're saying it's constant. There might be a rheumatic issue potentially. There's all sorts of things that can cause a pain response.
So, can I add something?
Yeah, that's why you're here.
So when we did the strict 90 days carnivore 2 years ago or whatever, I did get some flare-ups of shit. Same things that tend to flare up when I'm fasting, or especially dry fasting. So I'm wondering if it's just like a healing reaction maybe, and it will go away with time. Could it be oxalates?
It absolutely could be an oxalate dumping issue.
In which case you would probably be best adding some oxalate foods to slow down the dumping, like just a little bit every 3-4 days, whatever. Or take citrate, see if that helps. That sort of thing.
Right. Good.
Right.
Yes, we need quite a bit of information without going stupid on the text there. I know you're limited to how many characters you're allowed to use, folks, but give us something to grist for our mill, as it were. Isn't the green screen functioning absolutely fucking brilliantly today? It's outstanding,
we
isn't
have a little ghost here with us today.
Yeah. Hello.
It's following your heat, strangely enough.
Anyway.
Is it possible to only eat slow-cooked meat on carnivore, or is vitamin C going to be an issue?
No, vitamin C is not an issue on a meat diet, even well-cooked, even all of it, even slow-cooked. It just isn't. Doesn't happen.
Doesn't happen.
Oh, singing.
I get to sing.
Oh, do you?
Because I can't hear it.
I make the rules in this motherfucker.
Okay, so Jonathan has a very clever question. Have you found an optimal amount of salt per 100 grams of steak? Asking to keep in line with the typical questions you get.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Can I say it?
Jonathan's here to help.
Get fucked.
Tell your mates to get fucked too.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Good.
Okay. Can I go overnight from a high-carb diet to a keto with meat and broccoli just to keep the gut bacteria happy for the first couple of weeks? I would like to continue fasting and can't do that with carbs.
Why would you want to go to a keto with meat and broccoli diet? You don't need any broccoli. There's no nutritional requirement for broccoli.
To keep the gut bacteria happy.
Well, that will keep the bacteria happy that want to see you eating broccoli, but if you stop doing that, those bacteria will slowly die off and they'll be replaced with bacteria that just love the other stuff that
I guess
isn't broccoli.
what he's asking is this a good way of slowly phasing out the carbs maybe and changing the gut bacteria?
I still wouldn't change your diet markedly overnight from anything to anything else. I would always change your diet from what it is now to what you want it to be next over a 6 to 8 week period, glacially. I think I'm about the only person. 6 to 8 weeks. I think I'm about the only online commentator that's going around saying this. By the way, I don't think anybody else really is backing me up on this so much. Of the big kingpin influencers with huge audiences, I mean. A lot of them are just saying, yeah, just go carnivore, it's great. Like, that's one of the things I don't agree with.
I mean, I'm biased, but since I work with people who have mostly food addictions or emotional eating problems, but what I do see in almost all of them that are failing is that they try to go from doing what they're doing to being perfect, and that never ever fucking works. So, but that's maybe more from a food addiction perspective than anything else. But they can't stand it.
Right.
But they don't want to get on board with doing it slowly either, so they're stuck.
The continuation there is about Flame One clearly not being a moderator.
Oh, there you go. Mainly because eating even a bit of carbs is akin to a domino effect for me. Once I start, I can't stop. Yes. So, yeah. That's what I usually do with people in that case. I mean, we obviously have a different approach because I'm teaching them how to handle the cravings so that the cravings isn't the problem. It's part of the process. You need to desensitize yourself to the cravings. If you can do that, then you can just decide this is what I'm going to eat and you just stick with that.
Please notice the difference between a commentator like Pim, who talks about a specialised area, a special population in which she's expert, people with addictions, as opposed to my commentary, a generalist, a person who will talk about what is good for the average person, what is best for the average person. It's nuance, you see. Nuance. That's a good word, isn't it? Nuance.
Yeah, it's very nuanced.
Not as good as the
Very
word fallacious, though. Fallacious is one of my favourite words.
Yeah, so one of the things that I'm quite big on is that, is this realistic? Is it realistic for you to go from where you are now to eating meat, broccoli, and whatever? And are you clear on what foods are included in that diet? Can you stick to that? If the answer is yes, then why not? I don't see a problem with it myself.
And if you want to know, shoop.
I mean, I know that I could not have gone like what Alex was doing on his YouTube channel when he was doing that, like
God.
going 10 grams less of fucking pasta every day, whatever. I don't think I could have done that because I'm still eating it, and then the cravings would still be as strong.
Yep.
That's not what. I mean, you have to find what's working for you, obviously.
Right, good.
Is it realistic? Right, let's hop back up to, what do you think of no added salt?
That's absolutely fine for a person who is not, in effect, deficient of various electrolytes from what they're getting from their diet. I generally tend to go with my instinct for salt. Do I fancy the salt? Do I not fancy the salt so much? And how much salt I add depends on how much I fancy salt.
So I agree. Like, what does your body tell you that you need? And in terms of taste, but also, do you feel good doing that? Some people seem to be doing really well not having salt. Some people can't do it. Some people like me probably should have more salt because people with migraines need a lot more salt.
Some people... See, I told you I was going to do everything in songs this week. No singing.
I'm going to marry off to someone with
Please
huge tracts of land.
Huge tracts of land. Can you marry me off to somebody? Can you do that? Is that within your power? That'd be awesome.
Yes. Mask of Sanity, you forgot the Q, but I shall read it anyway because I saw it. Do we have to get D3 and K2 together or at different times?
You have a small capacity to absorb and store each of those things. Whether or not getting them together at the same time is beneficial, therefore I would doubt. You'll have all the mechanisms to line these things up and use them together in the way that they work together. The main thing is not to be effectively short on either of those things.
Depending on what form of K2 you're taking, the half-life in your body is different, but it's many hours, so it's not like you need to have them at the exact same time.
That.
Okay. Next.
Or not.
Or not. Try it again. Click. Right. Worked out and sore.
Yep.
Hard to walk. When should I hit it again?
When you're about 90 to 95% undomsed, unsore.
Undomsed.
Undomsed.
It's a good word.
Yep. Never hit it when you're still acutely uncomfortable and sore. That's a bad idea. That will cause tearing your body down rather than making it better, stronger, or faster in any way.
Yes.
People forget that recovery is as important as the training in salt.
This is what they say about dry fasting. The refeeding is more important than the actual fasting.
There you go then.
And my last one wasn't great.
No.
In terms of food choices, it wasn't bad, but in terms of volume, it wasn't great. I was so fucking hungry.
Nom 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 nom.
Yeah.
Nom nom nom.
Definitely overeating.
Yes.
So I fucked it up, basically. Have to do it again. Well, sometime.
Yes. Repeat the course.
Yeah.
Next semester.
Okay. I have one kidney and started carnivore, and my big toe got really sore, gout-like symptoms. This concerned me due to the uric acid side of things. What's your take on this?
Did you get a uric acid reading taken? And on a carnivore diet, it may well have been higher. However, high uric acid does not fait accompli mean that you have or are going to have, or indeed are even more predisposed to gout. which requires some other things to occur as well, including inflammation and inflammatory process and stuff. Also, you need specific conditions that predispose to the formation of crystals rather than those things existing ionically and stuff.
So isn't it actually quite common that when you start a carnivore diet, your inflammation will temporarily go up?
If you do it wrong, yes.
And stress hormones like
Yes.
cortisol
Yep.
and so on.
Yep.
So,
Mm.
right. In the UK, we have quite clean tap water, but should I consume mineral water? I want to cut microplastic out.
Mineral water sold to you in a bottle made of plastic.
Well, buy it in a glass bottle then.
Okay. In the UK, you have quite clean tap water. Compared with whom?
Indeed.
We've both lived in the UK. You're not fooling us. We know.
I used to drink tap water in Sweden all the time, and I moved to the UK, and I haven't found a single place in the UK that has decent
God.
tap water. It's freaking horrible.
Right. You know what we do? We just RO filter our water for our drinking water. But we're not even on town supply. We don't have that yucky shit. We get our water from a water course that runs past the boundary of this property.
Yes.
Yes.
But why should you consume mineral water? Like, why do you want to do that?
I think
To avoid tap water?
Well, I think there's an idea that mineral water is somehow cleaner, better, or more something than tap water is. Often, bottled water companies are actually selling you tap water.
I mean, if you're going to buy water and you're concerned about microplastics, don't buy it in plastic bottles.
Yes.
If it's specifically something with mineral water, you need the minerals or whatever. Or you can do what Harry's doing, getting expensive mountain water with lower deuterium. Still not low, but it's lower than tap water. Yes. Anyhow, not really sure what the question is about. If it's about just replacing or if it's about the mineral water.
Get an RO filter.
Yeah, that works. Will consuming 3 ounces of beef daily, like a fasting mimicking diet, reduce muscle loss compared to water fasting only?
What muscle loss on water fasting? Seriously?
Well, it depends on how long you're water fasting, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, the only time you're going to lose significant muscle mass due to fasting is when there is no longer any fat stored anywhere on your body to speak of that it can use for energy, in preference to breaking down its hard-gained protein structures like muscles and things. Why would your body do that?
Because it's stupid.
It's not fucking stupid. That's the point. So, again, the question is, what muscle loss on water fasting?
Okay, so comment, not question.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that Saladino video you did yesterday. That guy really is wacky. It's like I was vicariously living out my criticism of his nonsense watching your video.
Good, were you shouting at the screen as well? Love it. Yeah, it's good fun doing the Who's Wrong on the Interwebs videos. It seems to be the one that people like to watch the most too. If I try to do an educational video, you pricks won't watch it, mostly.
You pricks.
You pricks. You're not interested in being educated. You want to be offended, amused, or both. So fuck you all.
I lost the question.
That's right. I lost many things in
Yeah,
life.
but seriously, where is
I don't know what you're up to.
Well, it's usually highlighted when it's on the screen and I can't see it.
Jess is with us this morning. Good to see you, Jess. Incredible. Jess and I are going to do some more collaborative stuff coming up soon, so you'll see more of that in months to come.
There it is. Fucking hell.
I hope they do.
Okay. Shall we go to the next one?
Yes, next. What's the next question?
I'm going on a 3-day hike next weekend. It will be 73 kilometers total and likely be pretty sunny hot. Should I buy an electrolyte supplement or will lots of water and salty beef jerky be enough?
It's likely that salty beef jerky and water will provide you with most of what you need. If you want to get something that's a bit more formulated and designed for purpose, you absolutely can do that too. Pretty much that's it. Either or.
So it's about 25 kilometers walking every day in Sunhog. I mean, it won't hurt you to have electrolytes, but how used are you to doing it?
Exactly. What's your training status with respect to doing such things?
Yeah.
Good question.
If you're never out in the sun sweating, then I probably would do it, because your body's going to be like, what the actual fuck? Okay.
Yes.
I can eat eggs fine before I did carnivore, but on carnivore, eggs do bad things that makes the toilet sad an hour after eating them. Any reason why eating them without carbs would do that?
It may well be that you have a slight allergy to eggs, which is masked by your much more powerful allergies to plant-based nonsense on a standard diet, and thus kind of mask the eggs issue. Remove that nastiness from your life, and now the eggs issue is perceived as being much more serious. It's probably the same as it's always been. I would suggest remove eggs from your diet and see if that solves things.
Yes.
That's my guess.
Okay.
Who's fucking around under there?
Who do you think?
Yeah. Fluff, come here. Fluffy.
Can I read the next question?
Yes, you can. Where's Fluff, though?
She's behind you,
Come here.
probably, or was.
She's
probably
behind the
green screen now.
fucking curtain here.
Yeah, so leave her alone.
I think. No, that's not
And
her.
listen.
Yes, go.
What do you make of Joey Schwartz's claim that evolution is not true and cannot be true? It seems weird.
Who?
Joey who says actually is the next comment.
Yeah. I mean, I always get my advice from random 19-year-olds who are so smart they leave their first semester after about 2 classes in their first undergraduate degree because they knew better than the professors. Probably without even so much as a thanks, Mum and Dad, for all the money you just wasted and aren't going to get back. And then go and fuck off and live in a hippie commune with a troll that likes to throw things and make silly videos for a while.
Seriously, dog?
Yeah. Like, if you want to listen to stupid imbecile children, go for your lives.
Come here.
Absolutely go for your life. It's your funeral.
Yes. No, she doesn't want to.
No, I'm not coming out.
Then.
Get fucked. End of the story.
Jesus. Why are you just squeaking then? Like, she's squeaking. Oh, there she is.
Hello, come on in. Watch your head. Here we go. Here's Fluffy. Fluffy's here to save the day. No singing, though. Hello, Fluffy. You're a dickhead, aren't you? Den hundar utvecklingsstad.
I know. Next one.
Yes, please.
Ted Neyman. Good source of information?
Nope.
That was quick. All right. Question.
Yep.
To try to keep carbs less than 28 grams a day. Have been over 300 pounds for the last 40 years. Does your body need to heal itself, type 2, IBS, etc., before it worries about the weight loss?
Yes, absolutely. You've got it smack on the head there. That's exactly what happens. First you heal, then you lose. Yep. People often say to me, how long does this take? You know, how long does it take for me to get my health and my metabolic status back and all that? And I usually say, well, how long did it take you to fuck it up? Luckily, it can heal quicker than you can fuck it up if you just get out of your way and let it heal. But it still takes a significant period of time, doesn't it? Doesn't it?
You're a dick.
Yes. Du är en kukhåll.
Right, listen now.
Yes.
Why did that Hobbit guy have a weird obsession with Bart and then especially Pim? He seemed a bit unhinged. I didn't know he had an obsession with me.
Oh, he made all sorts of comments about you.
What did he say about me then? See, I'm totally oblivious.
Well, I'm not going to repeat any of it because it's all water under a
for
bridge.
fuck's sake.
But at the
Then
end
you're
of
going
the
to have
day,
to do it off camera.
Well, fine. The reason that this clown was behaving the way he was behaving was in order to try to get clicks.
Of course.
He was what do they call it? Clout chasing. Fine, whatever.
I'm curious. You know what? People can say whatever they want. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
So, my grandmother has diverticular disease, cannot tolerate gluten, and tries to eat low FODMAP.
Yep.
How can I help her? She eats meat, but small portions of it.
Well, grandmothers are a bit like horses.
Horses?
Yes. and that you can lead them to water, but you can't make them drink. There's no way, for example, I can remember, me attempting to tell my grandmother anything would have been a hoot. I was too young, of course, to even really have her attention to say anything at the time when she was alive. But like, even if I apply her personality as it was to mine as it is now, and I could speak to her now, being the age I am now, and her understanding that, still no, I would imagine. You can ask questions. You can, as I say, you can kind of herd, lead, hint, but you can't actually necessarily, unless a person asks you for help, and then that's a different discussion, isn't it?
Yeah. There are different ways of tricking kids and old people there. You can just ask, she's up for a challenge. See what happens, give it 30 days. It's an experiment.
Yes.
I do it with my clients all the time. Okay, let's just treat this as an experiment, because you want to know what happens if you do this for X amount of time. Let's do it for that amount of time. Don't commit for forever, just commit for 30 days or whatever. And it works sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes. Could genuine medical conditions be missed by doctors relying on inflammation markers in blood tests, scans, etc., in those that follow carnivore when they're used to seeing only inflamed carb addicts?
Possibly. I think allopathic physicians and the allopathic medicinal community at large misses a great deal of things. Yes.
Do I need electrolyte supplements if I eat liver?
You don't need to eat liver, and you don't need electrolyte supplements either, probably, depending on your particular circumstances.
I'm wondering if we create an imbalance in electrolytes, making us need and be dependent on electrolyte supplements once you start them.
Possibly. Entirely probable. But I wouldn't be eating liver if I was in your shoes. In my shoes, I don't eat liver. So probably in yours, I wouldn't either.
If you have doggy paws, you eat liver.
Sure. Are you a dog? No? Good. Shall we move on?
Yes. Here's Jess.
Hey, Jess.
Hi, team. How are we this morning?
We are not too bad. Been worse, as you know.
Okay, not a question, but a question.
Yes.
If you were me, what would you do if you have an aortic aneurysm?
Yeah.
I don't want to be operated. I wonder if pure carnivore would help me. I have a normal life now. I'm keeping inflammation at bay.
Okay, it sounds like you have a mild aneurysm, because if you had a serious aortic aneurysm, there would be no question that would need intervention as a matter of urgency. That's an emergency in that case. So, given that you have intimated by what you're saying that it's not a serious one at this stage, number one, keep an eye on it, absolutely. Number two, I think you're an absolute candidate for increasing your circulating adult stem cell resources to the highest degree possible. And I think you should do that using the fine products offered by the fine folks at Cerule, the address for which you will find in the show notes directly underneath this video in the top several lines of text. That's what you should do. As well as continuing the carnivore diet, you should probably also ground yourself electrically, block blue light after sundown, and undertake appropriate exercise, which is a whole discussion by itself. Luckily, that's number 5, so we don't have to cover that every time we outline the 5 things you should do, I think. And in your case, the 6th additional thing is keep an eye on that, for goodness sake. My brother, who is 18 months older than myself, very nearly came to his end several years ago, a number of years ago now, from exactly that. It was an aorta that had basically got to the point where it was expected to actually rupture any time, and they had to stabilise him for more than a week before they could even go in and replace said aorta with a Gore-Tex tube and this artificial valve, which was the cause of the problem in the first place. A genetic thing that had never been picked up to that point. Yes, my brother's a freak.
A freak.
In more ways than one. Freak! 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 That's a huge bitch.
Okay, we have a job for Tid.
Ted? Yes.
This person that asked about electrolyte supplements
Yes.
and liver
Yes.
has asked the same fucking question at least 3 times that I can see on the screen right now. Stop asking questions several times,
Yep.
or
Don't do that.
Ted will come and fuck you up.
Yes, he will. Mm.
There you go.
Ted won't stand for that. Neither will Her Majesty Pym, Queen of Pirates.
We'll call you out and call your names.
Mm.
Well, Ted will call your names. I'll just call you out.
Mm.
All right. My MD recently reviewed my diet. I told him I eat carnivore. He slammed the table and I should not dare to do it again. He said he's my doctor and I must listen to him. What can I do at this point?
This.
Okay, I'm going to...
Contact your doctor and say the following sentence. Transfer my records. I no longer require your services. You are no longer my doctor. You are fired. That is the only appropriate response. That's what you should do. Yep.
Question.
Yep.
Will giving blood help fix the fasting insulin and keep it below 6.5?
Okay.
Question.
Is that will giving blood? Well, probably not. If you're saying it did, I'm going, okay, fine. I'm not going to fix things that aren't broken. Giving blood is fine, periodically, whatever. Whether or not it's going to affect your fasting insulin, I doubt that very much.
I can't see how that would happen.
Again, what would the mechanism of that be? If you want some ideas around controlling basal insulin levels, that's something you should consult with me about in the background.
And is 6.5 the A1C then that we're talking about?
No, that'd be 6.5 insulin units, I guess, because they're talking about insulin.
Yes.
Standard unit, units that they use for insulin, whatever.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know why, but when going longer than 16 hours without eating, I always get muscle cramps. Why would this be?
Could be all sorts of things. Could be a magnesium issue, but I doubt that would be precipitated specifically by what you're talking about. You just might have one anyway, which is unmasked in that way.
Can you go 16 hours without drinking as well? That might help.
Maybe.
So you might be pissing out too many electrolytes
Maybe.
for some reason.
Maybe. Look, that's one of those how long's a piece of string questions. There are so many things that could be in effect there. We need a bit more information, folks. If you possibly could.
Have leaky gut, only eat meat, fat and eggs. Anything else I should do?
Yes, those other 4 things on that list of 5 things that a person should do to basically control, moderate and make less their chronic systemic inflammatory overburden. Carnivore diet, Cerule products.
The 5 things.
Electrically grounding and earthing, 5 of them. Blocking blue light after dark and appropriate exercise.
None of that inappropriate exercise, please.
None of that. Exactly. We like our exercise to be appropriate.
What's your opinion on peptides like BPC 157?
I use 157 myself. I have used it several times for several purposes, and I have found it to be effective. And thus far safe and effective.
Can Cerule stem cell support in any way help with the removal of calcification deposits in ligaments and tendons due to ankylosing spondylitis, or is it irreversible?
There seems to be anecdotal evidence that it is entirely possible. Watch a video on my channel called Bart's Mom is in the House, where my mom, who has been and was suffering from ankylosing spondylitis quite seriously, is now not so much, in a very meaningful amount and degree.
Amazing, isn't it?
It is amazing. And I didn't pay my mum at all to say such things.
No, I think she's unpayable.
Quite. She's already paid the price. Trust me.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
Yep. Poor mum. Thank you, TJ. Format the question by starting with a capital Q, then ending with an A, and with a question mark.
Yes, very good.
I can't even fucking read. Right. Hey, Bart.
Yo.
I've been hearing you say recently that cardio in the middle range of heart rate is not so good. What
Correct.
happens at the middle range is 120, 160 BPM that makes it so bad?
What's so bad about it is if an athlete or person is training in that zone for many, many hours a week for many, many years, that is contraindicated for long-term health for a number of reasons, including the cardiac health. The very thing that they're proposing is great for your cardiovascular health is actually, it seems, anything but. It's not a mode of exercise that human beings are genetically predisposed to. It's an unnatural mode of exercise for humans. It does cause a loss of muscle mass over years and years and years. Your muscles become smaller and smaller and smaller. Not a good thing. And all in all, it's just not the thing for humans to be doing.
Basically what you're saying, there's nothing wrong with being in that range as long as you don't do it for a long period of time.
So long as you're not doing it for hours and hours and hours a week for years and years and years on end. Yes.
Yes.
If you are a hypertrophy athlete who is trying to build muscle, however, in that case, what I would suggest to you is absolutely do not do any of that kind of exercise. It's not necessary for any aspect of your health, cardiovascular or otherwise. All it does is it increases your capacity to tolerate doing exactly that. It doesn't improve your general health in any way. It's a bad thing. And if you are I want to build muscle athlete, that kind of activity will actually strip muscle mass off you, which is exactly the last thing that you want to be happening. I can't speak. You can't read. I can't speak.
Yeah, good show.
Yep, Ted can't control himself.
I think this question is for me.
Yep.
How many pounds did you lose from the dry fast in the end? I'm going to give you the answer to that. Go to my YouTube channel, check out my shorts, and it will tell you exactly how many pounds I lost, because I reveal that every single day as a live update for me doing the fast, how I feel, how much weight I've lost, and so on.
While you're there, subscribe to Pim's channel, and as a penance, go to her Cerule and buy product from her as a new retail customer.
Yes, and get all the stem cells you need.
That's it.
To be
Forgiven.
Superhuman.
And forgiven.
Well, and avoid Ted coming and oiling your up.
Yes. Studies show that you don't want to visit from Ted late night.
They do.
Converging lines of evidence suggest absolutely and unequivocally.
And these are double blind.
Yes. Yes,
all bells and whistles.
Proper science. All the studies show that you do not want to visit from Ted, and as such, you should do as directed here on the channel. Buy lots of Cerule products. Subscribe to Pim's channel. Trust us, we are the science. Unless Pim disagrees with me, in which case, trust me, I'm the science.
I was just wondering how I got included in
I'm also
being
safe and effective and safe. Carry on. What's next?
Jesus. Lots of cues. Why is taking up B vitamins better from raw meat?
Well, because that's where you're designed to get them from, biologically. It's in line with how your body works, and so it's no surprise that it works best that way. Fucking chat window.
Okay, there's a cue. Why would blood sugar go up on a carnivore diet? I mean, we've already covered that in
Well, because of a possibly longer living red blood cell. If you're looking at an A1C result to inform on that. And also it seems that the fasting blood glucose level does over several years drift up to often around 5.8 to 6 in carnivore people. It seems to be the new homeostatic set point. It seems to be fine, and there are a number of carnivores that have been basically doing so for multiple decades without any apparent issues or problems. It's your body taking care of things the way it's designed to.
Question.
Yep.
Emmerichs say fasting burn muscles.
Right.
Question mark. Currently. I fasted 22 days per month for 15 months, didn't lose any muscle, 5-year carnivore, 393 pounds fat.
Right.
Or minus 393.
Yeah. Again, let me repeat. your body will absolutely strip muscle mass off you and use that for energy. In the case where there is no fat left anywhere, it will not do that otherwise. Your body will also strip muscle mass off you if your activity level is not such as to maintain whatever muscle mass that you've built above your baseline. Either of those things will cause muscle mass loss. Otherwise, no. Ridiculous. Absolute nonsense. Goodness sake, why would your body use protein, hard-gained muscle mass protein, to break down and use for energy if there's any fat at all on the body?
Here's
Why would it do that?
answer to that. So it's following my first comment, which I have missed, the Emirates say that there is a rapid turnover for protein in the body for hair, nails, etc., and that's why you need to eat it daily.
Why? Well, I mean, yes, you need an amount of protein per day on average across time.
But it doesn't come from your muscles.
There's nothing that suggests that you have to eat protein every day to be healthy and viable. I mean, human beings have gone for periods of time without eating throughout our existence. And your body is able to recycle a lot of its amino acid resources.
And that's the reason that many people do fasting, to get the autophagy happening, which means that you're breaking down things that are not useful for your body or damaged things to reuse the protein from there into your hair and nails and whatever. And if you're fasting for a long period of time, your hair and your nails are not going to grow as freaking quickly.
Yes. Good.
That's just how it is. All right.
Good.
Question.
Yes, questions.
Hi guys, what is the amount of minimum appropriate exercise no one should do for someone who hates exercise?
There's no minimum amount of exercise. I am not a proponent of exercise being more better if there's more of it. In fact, the exact opposite is true. I advocate for minimum effective exposure, which requires high intensity, burst and repeat, and or resistance training modalities. They are the kinds of exercises that you are biologically designed for. They are appropriate for a human being, and they are the kinds of activities that will best conduce to the most propitious outcomes.
Very good.
Yes.
Seems as though you don't put an emphasis on the importance on taurine as much as Harry does. How come?
Well, because I'm just ignorant. Clearly. Look, everybody out there has their thing that they're into and that they're excited about, and that, say, is the absolute answer to all the world's woes. And I'm quite sure that what Harry is saying about taurine is entirely accurate, because Harry doesn't just make shit up. He does his research very, very carefully. I myself have tried taking taurine just because, well, let's see what happens. What happened was I began to smell incredibly, because not only was the excess sulfur that I didn't need being excreted in the normal fashion, it was also coming out through the pores of my skin and coating me in this rotten egg smell that followed me around the house. That's all that happened for me.
That doesn't happen for a lot of people, though. But if you do have some issues, which you seem to have,
I have many issues
metabolizing that, then that's not the right supplement for you, clearly.
Yes, correct.
I can take it. I don't smell like that.
No.
Okay, here's a question without the cue. If I am low on energy on carnivore, should I increase fat, protein, or both?
That really depends on how much of each of those you are currently on, as to what I would suggest to you is where you should go from there.
Yeah. It's a consultancy question.
Yes, consultancy question, that one really, and it's an individual thing.
Yeah.
There'll be a specific issue causing your carry on. But I would suggest start with those 5. There's 5 of them, things that a person should do. Any person, if you're not doing all 5 of those already before you come to talk to me about what else might be, something that we get out on top of those 5, I'll probably tell you to go away and do those 5 first and then come back to me.
Yes.
Frankly. All 5.
Anything wrong with eating a pound a week of whipped beef tallow? No bowel problems.
Well, I'm generally an advocate for not fixing things that ain't broke. So if you're not noticing any problems in your life which could possibly be associated with eating a pound a week of whipped beef tallow, or indeed of any other activity you may be doing, then yeah, don't fix it.
I mean, if that's all the fat you're eating, it's not that much either. even.
Mm.
I was going to say.
It sounds vile to me, by the way. I wouldn't do that.
No, it's not my favourite.
But hey,
taste.
you do you. We love it. Carry on.
Many people eating more than a pound of butter per week. So,
yes. As you were, soldier.
if I were to do wet fasting for weeks and do HIIT, full body workouts, what would happen? Thanks, Bart and Pim.
Well, it depends on what your genes are, what environment you have them placed in now and in the past, your particular training status, your particular status with how good you are at fasting, etc., in terms of your experience there too, and how you've responded to it in the past, what your body weight is now in total, how that's made up, and a whole bunch of other stuff I can't be asked listing right now.
I think the intensity would not be very high after a while.
Yes.
And why on earth would you do that?
Mm.
Because you're not going to get the benefit from the training if you're not supplying the nutrients that you need to actually build up after that.
You're asking me to look into a crystal ball there.
Mm. Will giving blood help reduce the long life of red blood cells? Not sure. I might be confused, but you said something about red blood cells live longer, which can raise some marker.
So now you're talking about artificially fucking around with your designed physiology, controlled by your genes, absolutely, in order to subserve getting a number that doesn't fucking matter down? Jesus Christ, no.
The A1C does not change in theory. Everything else that is not blood will still be equally glycated as it would have been whether you donated blood or not. You just fucking around to get a different number. It's like cheating on a test. That's what it is.
Yeah. Why would you be remotely concerned about the number, given the explanation I've already given as to why that number is not a concern? Why are people obsessed with wanting to conform? The last thing I want is to be normal. Christ on a bicycle.
You've succeeded.
Good.
You've reached your life goal.
Thank you.
You can now go die.
I can quit.
And be happy.
Right. How can I die and be happy?
You can be happy and then die.
Perhaps I can own nothing and be happy.
182 watching and only 77 likes. Come on, guys. Hit the fucking like button.
Yes, it doesn't cost anything except the ATP required to make the click.
Yes.
Right.
And you lazy motherfuckers sitting watching YouTube, that you can count it as exercise.
Yes.
Right.
There you go. You fine viewers who have, followed
Exercise
us
your
and support
fingers.
us. Now you're a lazy motherfucker because Pim said so.
Would it be possible to gain muscle at that point, or is it just going to cause me to lose fat faster?
What fucking point?
Okay, so this was the same person that asked about the wet fasting for weeks and doing HIIT.
Would it be possible to gain muscle mass at the point of
No.
doing a lot of fasting? No, probably not. Your body would not be using its resources for that as a priority. Yeah. No. Goodness. How do
Please
you like the Grumpy Professor Act? Do you like it?
Put a capital Q before your questions, or I might miss them. Desperately seeking help. Had surgery where they removed gallbladder, duodenum, appendix, caecum, and half ileum.
Jesus Christ.
How can I best absorb nutrients? Thank you.
Well, perhaps you should have asked that before you allowed them to do that to you. Christ on a bicycle. Let's rip out half your entrail, shall we? For what possible reason? I'm sure there was a reason they thought it was necessary.
Probably.
Yeah, that's definitely a consultancy issue. You're behind the eight ball there. There's a bit we need to do to help support your system.
A bit.
Yeah. Woo.
That's, yeah.
Definitely a consultancy issue.
Super chat.
Yeah.
Will eating OMAD help stem cell enhance work better?
There's no evidence that it will have any effect on the efficacy one way or the other. Yes, I know. The chat window sucks. Everything sucks. The world sucks.
Does Ted think Pim is hot like I do?
Well, Ted's more about the knobs, to be fair. He likes to twiddle knobs. That's his thing. He identifies as a knob twiddler.
Stuck again.
Yes. Plus, he is appropriately respectful to his queen.
Is he?
Yes.
Since when?
Well, he's more respectful to you than he is of anybody else, including me, so I wouldn't complain.
Because I'll send a snoozy on him if he isn't.
Well, there you go. I don't think Ted's afraid. He's got a rampant wildebeest.
Or he got you.
A small guillotine.
He got you protecting him.
Well, that's not much fucking help to him, is it? To be fair.
Rightio.
Yeah.
I missed this one.
Good.
Do you know if someone with hypercholesterolemia, a diagnosis that my friend claims is hereditary, would benefit from carnivore?
Yes, they probably would. Almost certainly, and it's nothing to do with their cholesterol one way or the other. Because that's a medicalised term. That's a bullshit diagnosis of something that's not pathological. It's pathologizing perfectly normal human function. It's ridiculous.
There's someone who's actually using her real name, so I know that you are actually signed up for my Cerule. Thank you very much, Cecile. The body prioritizes substrates like alcohol before glucose, etc. But how does the body control this priority?
It's in the particular mechanisms and biological route paths to the usage, therefore drainage of various substrates through the metabolic system as a whole. It is substrate channeling that goes on, and it's all inherently achieved by the system, by the specific reactions that are in play, the specific enzymes that do so, and the specific up and down regulators of those enzymes, including various hormonal messages and things like that. It's quite complex as well as being very simple all at once. Yep.
Very good.
Yes.
Is there such a thing as reputable fish oil supplements? How much EPA and DHA do we actually need daily? Would sardines and or herring be a good alternative?
I personally would not take an omega-3 supplement, irrespective of who the manufacturer was. I would not take one at all. How much EPA and DHA do we need daily?
I thought I turned it off.
It's not that you need any amount of both, it's that you need a set amount of the combined, really, because you can interconvert those two and such as to get the one you need. And it's a very, very small amount is what you need. Hello, Professor Snoozy, you're looking very kempt and very shaved and very slim, aren't you?
You lost half your body size.
It's a very, very small amount that you need from your diet on a daily basis. Would sardines and or herring be good alternatives if they are fresh and caught that day? I would absolutely suggest that they are fine foods to eat. Any seafood that wasn't fresh and caught that day, I probably wouldn't. Well, unless it's been snap frozen immediately and only thawed by way of being prepared for being consumed that day. Otherwise, I probably personally wouldn't touch it.
Perfect. High five.
Yeah.
So slow. You missed it. You missed it.
Oh.
Sorry.
She's like, call the police. Call the police.
Is she?
The animal police, the RSPCA or something. That's what she's saying.
We're done with it.
I'm not okay. Call the police. Yep.
Yeah, I want to add something there.
You may.
Like lamb fat and grass-fed beef fat has a lot of omega-3s as well.
It does. Yes.
So you don't have to have fish to get omega-3s.
Also this week, Elon Musk tweeted, or X'd, actually, he X'd what he thinks a good breakfast is. Guess what he said? Dum, dum, dum. And stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
Stop. Enough.
Have we stopped it?
Yes.
Mona says, I am anemic and have to have infusions. Will carnivore help? What about the stem cell enhancer?
That depends on the cause, the underlying root cause of the anemic situation. Absolutely doing those 5 hacks as a package, the diet, the Cerule products, the electrical, grounding and earthing, the blue light and the exercise, would predispose any given person, including a person with an anemic situation, to a better place. You bet. A nutritionist / dietitian will absolutely be certain to probably give you suboptimal advice. A dietitian absolutely is mandated to. They will give you bad advice. A nutritionist may or may not. Is there any chance of restoring your cycle by doing those 5 things?
Why have you jumped onto a whole different question?
I don't know. What am I looking at?
The question was someone who's anemic and have infusions. Will carnivore help? And what about stem enhance? And you're 2 questions down because you're fucking around on the wrong screen.
I'm not 2 questions down. I'm answering the question that I'm answering. But the answer
but
to the
no
next...
one else has seen this.
Yeah, but the answer to that question is the same. And if you were going to put that up, I'd give the same answer. I wasn't even looking at that.
So have you fully answered the question that's actually on the screen?
I think so. Yes, you should do all 5 of those things that I suggest a person should do, including the taking of Cerule products, the main 3 products, every single day, yes.
And have you answered this question, which is the next one?
What happens to your electrolytes?
No. So
No.
shall we move to the next question?
Sure. I wasn't trying to answer the next question.
But why,
See what I have to put up with?
why did you answer this one, which doesn't even have a Q?
Because the answer to that question is the same as the one I gave to the previous question.
Jesus.
It just so happens that there's a question that fits well the answer I gave to a previous question. What's your problem?
My problem is that you're fucking the order up of the questions. So
I'm
now
not
I don't
doing
know what
any
we're
fucking
doing.
such thing. I'm answering the question on the screen, for fuck's sake, still.
That's the question on the screen.
Yes?
Leave this to me.
I didn't touch that.
But you were reading from it, what I'm saying.
It's bigger.
Exactly, that's my problem. I want to read on this screen, but you refuse to make it bigger.
I still don't know what your
People,
problem is.
help me.
Fuck's sake, carry on.
Yes, so what happens to your electrolytes during a dry fast and water fast?
Uh-huh.
At what time period does it become dangerous for electrolyte imbalance?
How long's a piece of string? That's very, very individual. It depends on your genetic makeup, the conditions in which you've placed that genetic makeup in the past, currently, etc. All of those kind of things. They could go up, they could go down, and the time frame at which it can become dangerous is any time. There's no... I can't give you an average answer to any of those questions because the noise around all those signals is so massive.
If you don't take electrolytes during a wet fast, you're going to lose electrolytes fairly quickly, I would say. On a dry fast, you don't piss a lot, so you're not going to lose electrolytes as quickly. You're probably going to be okay. The problem with a dry fast mainly is that if you've been doing it for a while, your kidneys has adjusted to it and they will retain all the sodium they possibly can hold on to. So you want to be careful. Stop reading. You want to be careful with how much sodium you feed yourself when you're breaking the fast, which you don't necessarily have to do when you are wet fasting. Not to the same degree anyway.
No singing and no fucking reading. Stop
Indeed.
that reading.
Let me put the questions on the screen so other people can see them before you answer them.
I'm not answering anything off that screen. I'm just fucking reading it silently. Did you hear anything coming out of my mouth? No, I was
did
reading the questions in
5
advance.
minutes ago. Stop shouting.
Fuck.
How often per week or month are we supposed to eat?
Again, supposed to? Once a day, I think, is pretty optimal. For the most part, for most people, under most circumstances, at most times. Sometimes fasting for a number of days at a time is indicated, in which case I tell people individually that I think it's indicated in their case. There it is.
And also, is there such a thing like optimal?
Who knows? Your results may vary.
Yes. I think the optimal is to actually be adaptable to whatever is happening. That's probably optimal, which means sometimes none, sometimes maybe
Some.
you have eat all day long because you killed a mammoth or whatever.
Remember that mammoth we killed last week?
Yeah.
Fuck, that was a hoot, wasn't it?
We had a feast for the whole fucking week.
We did, and the dogs.
Yes.
Yes. They had mammoth portions.
And this one ate until she puked.
I'm here all week.
Right.
Yes.
If you don't recommend cardio, how do you think us humans hunted animals back in the day?
Oh my God, seriously. I have very little patience for this kind of nonsense, I really do.
No shit. Maybe you want to shout at this person too?
Well, they're irritating me less than you are. How's that?
And you can get rid of them quicker.
Well, yes.
Oh.
Right. Number one, whether or not I recommend cardio has absolutely no impact whatsoever on how humans actually did hunt demonstrably, as established by those people who are in that field of study who tell us how it is that human beings hunted, and it had absolutely fucking nothing whatsoever to do with fucking cardio exercise, okay? Right, what's next?
What's next is uric acid and purines are good for the body, right? Gout is triggered by inflammation, or there are other factors like fructose, oxalates.
Yes, it's multifactorial in terms of the underlying etiology that leads to a person to a position where they're going to express the gout thing. Both of those things are positive in the right amount at the right time in the right place, and in the wrong amount in the wrong place at the wrong time, not so much. Good.
Done?
Yes, I think so.
Is it true that skin issues can get worse during fat loss because your body releases the toxins stored in that into your blood?
In my experience, the first part of that question is yes, absolutely. Your skin can get worse during that period of time, but the bit after the comma is an explanation which there's no mechanistic proof for. It's a speculation. It might be the cause, I don't know. I don't think it is.
Might be, or it might be increased inflammation. Could be so many things. Jesus, many retracted messages every fucking way. What the fuck's going on here?
That is messages being deleted. Yeah, it's one of the mods. Ones. Yeah, okay. Yeah. It's one of the mods deleting messages. Yes. Yeah, that's fine. That's what mods do.
If you have to delete that many messages, can't you put him in a timeout, him, her? Or
that person can be put in timeout if that's necessary.
Or removed altogether.
Yes. My mods have the ability to do so if they think it's required.
Don't post the same thing over and over again, please. So spamming it, apparently.
Right. And still happening?
I don't know.
Okay, the next time you see that,
there we go.
Any of the mods?
Oranges, I'm going to time you out. Good.
Right.
Good job, Robert.
Yes, lovely.
Bye.
Isn't that fun? Yeah.
Here's a cue.
Yes.
Had a heart attack with a triple bypass. Been carnivore for approximately 18 months. Should I take the medication supplied after the op?
I'm not going to give you medical advice on what you should or shouldn't do. You're a special population in that case because you have had an MI and you have had a triple bypass. It sounds like at around about the same time or something. Maybe you had the heart attack and then in response to that heart attack, they've decided they need to triple bypass. Okay. I would suggest that at the very least the aspirin is a good idea for a bit. If they've got you on blood thinners, that's probably for a good reason. But again, that's not advice. Giving you a drug that interferes with your body's ability to produce cholesterol is not a good idea, is not indicated, and in my opinion, any person should not take that drug. But that is not advice. That's my opinion on that drug, based on my understanding of what it is and how it works. Such understanding being quite significant, as it turns out. How's that?
Mm-hmm.
Disclaimer, that was not advice. You do you.
Yeah.
Mm.
Ted sounds like he's arrived at parties.
Oh, fuck, you should see it. Remember that last party we had after the mammoth thing?
Don't want to.
Ted was dancing naked around the fire. It was incredible.
Question, should I be on statins after 90% LAD blockage?
Yep.
What's that?
It's the left anterior descending.
I am on carnivore. Question, would stem cell enhancer help?
In terms of the first part of the question, same response as previously. I'm not going to give you medical advice or advice of any kind. I'm going to give you my opinion, and my opinion is absolutely no. Under no circumstances should any living human being ever touch a statin with a barge pole for any reason. Absolutely contraindicated. No, I wouldn't do that. I am on carnivore. Good, I'd keep doing that. Would stem cell enhancer help? Yes, it would in terms of increasing your circulating adult stem cell resources. And we know absolutely that adult stem cells can and do become brand new cells of any kind in your body, except for sperm or eggs, including any damaged cardiac tissue and vascular tissue. So yes, it can do that, absolutely. But will it do that? I can't make any therapeutic claim. I'd start taking Cerule, the three main Cerule products, which are the one with the green label, the one with the red label, and the one with the sky blue label. get them together as a wellness pack. It's cheaper that way, and you won't pay for shipping as well. Or if you want them for free, just ask me about that behind the scenes. We have a program for that too.
Very good.
Yes.
Here's a double question. Are carbs addictive, and is muscle tissue the organ of longevity, meaning the more you have, the longer you will live?
Yes, carbs are addictive, it seems. I don't think there's any serious question about them being, of the propensity that people who are prone to addictive behaviours and thought processes can fall foul of, absolutely. Is muscle the organ of longevity? We can only propose a mechanism by which that might be so and suggest that there is a correlation between muscle mass and longevity. What we can't do is say, and it's the cause. How's that? Very good.
It does make sense. If you don't have a lot of muscles, things are going to stop working eventually. You need the muscles to actually function.
Yes.
And it's harder to maintain that muscle when you're older. For some magic reason.
Magics.
So keep it up, lift your weights, do the things.
Do the things.
But
Yes.
not for too long in the too middle.
Yes, very good. You're learning. Maybe.
So just post your question once when you're back in the chat, oranges. Just once is fine.
Unless it's a stupid question, in which
Or
case
the wrath of Pim will occur.
it will.
Yes.
And we know what happens when Pim gets all out of joint.
And she recruits Tid.
Well, exactly. Studies show.
Do you eat more fatty meats or do you tend to eat leaner ones?
We're kind of in the middle, really, I think.
Yeah.
In terms of our intakes, chronically. Most of what we intake is beef.
Yeah. We have some lamb chops right now in the freezer, but they're kind of like...
Lamb chops.
Seasonally, I guess.
Yeah. So are lambs.
Oh, really? We're not eating ribeyes. We're not eating that fatty meat. We're eating mostly rump because it's brilliant on the barbecue.
Sorry, I'm reading again.
Yes.
Not reading.
But I'm not allowed to say so. So, we should try and read this. How would I best protect and detox my son from once a fortnight stay with his other parent? We are carnivore. Father is a vegetarian. Son comes home with diarrhea every time. He is 6. Cerule?
Yeah. I mean, look, any given person who is suffering from any kind of anything at all, really, is likely to experience less problems if they take Cerule products, it seems, because of what they are and what it is that they do. So, yep, that would be certainly a fine approach. I'm presuming sending Ted round to see his other parent is not on the cards. Don't know.
Yeah, going from carnivore to vegetarian and then back again. It's not gonna work for his gut microbiome. So the best thing you could do is just I don't know if he gets like any meat when he's there, but
wow, that's
try
actually
to insist on it.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty fucked up situation, that one.
Yeah.
Right, so I think I'd send Ted round, frankly.
Yes.
I'm not belittling or making light of your that's a quite serious problem that you really have no control over, and I think that sucks.
Well, you can talk to him and try to make him see reason.
Well, in general, people can actually have an impact, can't they?
Yes. You don't want to send your son there to have diarrhea every time because he doesn't get the food that he actually does well on.
Yeah.
Just needed to put this up. Pim was right. See, Pim was right. Bart was answering 2 questions in one.
It just so happens that my answer to the second question was also the answer to the top one.
And you shouldn't have seen it. So
again, still.
What are the best exercises to oxidize fat? Walking?
All exercises oxidize fat, except those at the very highest end of intensity, that which would cave you in sooner than several minutes, which actually still does burn fat, but less because you cave in so much more rapidly. At the end of the day, that's what exercise is. It burns fats and it doesn't burn anything. It oxidizes fats and it oxidizes carbohydrates, basically.
Does it not have a little furnace in it?
A little furnace. Just
Tiny
the thing.
one.
Mm.
Okay. Why many people tolerate well plant material like grains, vegetables, and fruits? Is it about their genes, or is it not true they tolerate them without consequences?
The thing about all of these things is that there are always outliers that you can point to and say, see, look. Like everyone knows someone that says, my grandma smoked 100 a day and drank every day of her life and lived to 170, 12, or whatever. But for the most part, for the average person, for most people, if you look at society as a whole, people that eat a lot of grains and vegetables and fruits, do they clearly, demonstrably live longer than those that don't do that? And everything else is the same? The answer is we don't know, because there is no data sets that are so designed that we can point to and go, look, everything else was the same. Pairs of genetic twins.
But it's not just about living longer for me anyway. It's about feeling as good as possible for as long as possible, because what's the point of living if you're just going to live in hell?
I'll tell you what the point of living isn't. Singing and reading. Both disallowed in this fascist regime here.
Yes, you should only listen.
The Queendom of Pimbia.
You can read on that screen. Yeah. For dairy, it would be great if they didn't make me fatter. I've had some intestinal pain and constipation, likely because I don't have enough fat. I try to aim for more to avoid it. Advice. Thank you.
It sounds like you may have a dairy intolerance, in which case dairy is not the answer for you to do anything.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Maybe not do dairy for a while and see what happens.
Yeah, take the dairy out and
And then we're looking for questions.
Questions, roly-poly questions.
Shut up.
No singing.
Have vitamin D level of 268 nanomoles per liter equals 104 nanograms per milliliter. Eating raw pork back fat. Should I cut down on the pork fat, or is it safe to have this high vitamin D? My calcium level is still normal.
What are your symptoms? How is your health suffering in any way, shape or form? Your presentation, the way you address the universe, anything? Are there any problems here that need fixing? Or once again, are you the sort of person who wants to subscribe to normative values for numbers, when the last thing you want to do is actually be in the normal range for most numbers?
So how have you got such high vitamin D levels? Do you actually supplement? Because if your body's producing that much vitamin D...
I bet he's sunning his asshole.
Yeah, but wouldn't that be a good thing rather than a bad thing? I mean, there should be a reason for why your body creates that much vitamin D, and not necessarily a reason that is pathological.
Exactly. Your body can store an amount of vitamin D, and probably would do when it's like making hay when the sun's shining, and I think your body would do that. I don't think it's a problem.
Right. I love eggs. Is it okay if I eat every day regular supermarket eggs, not free-range organic or something, just regular ones?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. You have my full permission to eat regular supermarket eggs, and Ted agrees.
I did that for over a year because A, we didn't have many free-range eggs, and B, they were super expensive when you could get them, so I just put normal ones on.
Clearly the only symptom of eating supermarket eggs for a year is it turns your hair purple. But otherwise, there's no real issues, I think.
Yes.
Perhaps it makes you a bit less tolerant as well.
So when you stop eating eggs, you will go grey.
Yeah, sure.
Right, can you send Ted to my butcher who charged it $14 for my steaks, but now cuts all of the fat off I used to enjoy?
Don't go to that butcher anymore, or instruct that butcher to stop doing that.
Give them a call.
Give them a choice. I want it with the fat on.
Yeah, give them a call the day before, 2 days before. Say, I'm going to come in on this day and I want this kind of meat, and can you please keep the fucking fat on?
That's right.
Without the fucking maybe. And that was it. This
Lovely.
is good timing.
Lovely. Hour and a half. Perfect.
Yes.
Well done, staff.
Very good.
You did well.
And the Pharaoh Grandma says, as a parting gift, you may want to find out Ted's appearance fee before committing to hiring his services.
Studies show that nobody can afford Ted's appearance fee. It's astronomical. Astronomical to get Ted on the show. Incredible. Right. Thanks for being here. Thanks for all the questions.
All the ones.
Thanks for doing the modding, those mods that had to mod today. Well done. Good job. Thanks to some of you who super chatted. Thanks to those of you who are channel members, who may or may not have super chatted as well, actually, putting the rest of you to shame who didn't. For penance, go to Pim's Cerule account, the address for which is under this video in the show notes in the top line or so, and buy products from Pim as a new retail customer. And if you're already someone else's customer, then sign your fucking dog up. And this time, actually do that, rather than those of you, 80-something of you, that responded to my question about that on the community section of my YouTube channel there, suggesting that you had signed your dogs up and bought some product. No, you didn't, you liars.
No, not very many did.
Not very many at all. So tell the truth this time and actually go and do it. That'll be helpful, because then Pim will get this medal thing in the Cerule Olympics and it'll be great.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we can auction it out to anyone who's watching this live stream.
Can we?
If you want a medal.
Yeah, plastic.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's plastic.
Anyhow, it would be cheaper postage then.
Yeah, it certainly isn't. I mean, I've got a gold medal for one of the events, and it certainly isn't gold. I can promise you. No, that's plastic. I think. Now I've got microplastics poisoning. You see.
Yes.
I didn't really expect a genuine gold medal, by the way. Anyway, go and get that done. That'll be great. Join us next week for more hilarity, games, fun, TED, maybe, perhaps a fluffy dog or two. And maybe actually Pim and I will come to blows on the show.
Wouldn't that be fun?
That'd be awesome. That'd be cool. We could get some views that way, couldn't we? We could take bets on who's going to win and which side Ted falls on. Yeah?
Well, Ted is always on your side, isn't he?
Well, generally Ted's opinion is what I tell him it is.
Exactly.
Generally.
So.
But not always. Not always. Right, so join us next week, and during the week there'll be more of the same, only different. Like someone will be wrong on interwebs probably, there'll be an interview probably, and then we'll be back again next Sunday.
And thumbs up the stream.
Do that.
Before you leave.
Yes.
If you haven't done it.
Otherwise get fucked then.
Are we done?
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
No, you said okay.
Nope.
You said
Nope.
it. You said.
Nope.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Steak and eggs and eggs and steak. That's what you should have for breakfast. Delicious. Elon Musk said so. Eggs and steak and eggs. Just making sure you're not Elon Musk. Right, now I'm done.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.